Hey everyone, welcome to this deep dive
Into.
into a topic I think a lot of us can relate to,
Yeah.
conquering the fear of English.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're, aiming for career goals, dreaming of travel, or just love learning new things,
Right.
we're here to help you navigate those sometimes choppy waters of
Absolutely.
language learning.
You got it. And today we'll be tackling those moments where English feels like a puzzle with missing pieces,
Right.
but also revealing why it's actually more approachable than you might think.
That's right. Because there are definitely times when English feels like it's deliberately trying to trick you,
Hmm.
right? Like, why are there three words that sound exactly the same?
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
but mean totally different things.
It's true. Those homophones can be a real headache for learners, but what's fascinating is that these quirks actually offer a glimpse into the history of the language.
Oh,
Think of them as linguistic fossils, each one hinting at how English evolved by absorbing words and sounds from other languages over centuries.
that's such a cool way to think about it.
Yeah.
So instead of getting frustrated,
Right.
we could appreciate those tricky words as little time capsules of
Exactly.
language history.
And another example is the disconnect between spelling and pronunciation.
Yeah.
Take the word knife, for example. Why is that K even there if we don't pronounce it?
It does seem like English enjoys making things complicated sometimes.
Yeah,
But I guess there's a reason behind it.
absolutely. That silent K is a remnant of Old English, a reminder of how the word was pronounced centuries ago. The pronunciation shifted over time, but the spelling often lagged behind, giving us these little quirks that make English so unique.
So those difficult aspects of English actually make it more interesting.
They do.
Who knew?
And they remind us that even native speakers are navigating a language shaped by countless influences. It's a living, evolving system. But let's move on to another hurdle many learners face: the sheer size of the English vocabulary.
Okay.
It can be daunting to think about how many words there are to learn.
Right. Do you really need to know every single word to actually speak and understand English?
Not at all. It's much more effective to focus on the core vocabulary used in everyday situations. You'd be surprised how much you can communicate with a relatively small set of words.
Mm-hmm.
Think of it like building a toolbox. Start with the essential tools, and then you can add more specialized ones as you need them.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's more about being strategic than trying to memorize the dictionary.
Hmm.
But amidst all these potential challenges,
Right.
are there any hidden advantages to learning English?
There are actually quite a few. One advantage that often surprises learners is how simple English grammar can be compared to other languages.
Okay.
You don't have to worry about noun genders, for instance.
I remember struggling with that in other languages.
Mm.
But in English, a chair is a chair,
Yeah.
regardless of whether it's masculine or feminine.
Exactly. And this simplicity might stem from the way English evolved from multiple sources. As different languages melded together, some complex grammatical features were streamlined or lost,
Hmm.
leading to a more straightforward system.
So it's like English took the easy road when it came to grammar.
In a way, yes. And it's a huge advantage for learners. It means you can focus on mastering basic sentence structure and building your vocabulary without getting bogged down in complex grammatical rules.
That's reassuring to hear. Are there any other advantages we can add to the list?
Definitely. Think about the sheer abundance of resources available for learning English.
Right.
From apps and online communities to movies, music, and podcasts, there's a wealth of material out there to immerse yourself in.
It's true. And then there's the global reach of English.
Yeah.
It's like having a universal key to unlock new experiences and connect with people from all walks of life.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the straightforward word order in English sentences: subject, verb, object. It's so consistent that you can easily grasp the fundamentals of sentence construction and quickly start forming simple sentences. I eat pizza. She plays guitar. Simple and effective.
Okay, so we've got a simpler grammar than many other languages, tons of learning resources, and a global reach.
Mm-hmm.
That's a pretty good starting point.
Yeah.
But there's still that big hurdle
Right.
that looms large for many learners.
You're talking about the fear of actually speaking English, right?
Exactly.
It's like stage fright, but with words.
And it can be completely paralyzing.
You've hit the nail on the head. This fear is incredibly common, and it's linked to deeper anxieties about being judged or making mistakes in front of others.
Yeah, sure.
It's that feeling of, what if I sound silly? Or what if people don't understand me?
And I think a lot of that fear comes from the sources we've been looking at today.
Oh, okay.
They highlight several key culprits. Fear of making mistakes, not practicing consistently, feeling self-conscious about accents, and the general fear of being judged for not being perfectly fluent.
It's almost like a perfect storm of anxieties.
It really is. Plus, you've got those added worries about not having a big enough vocabulary or keeping up with the speed at which native speakers talk. Sometimes it feels like they're speaking a secret code.
But here's the crucial thing to remember. Everyone experiences these fears to some degree. It's a natural part of the learning process.
Okay.
And often these fears stem from a desire to be perfect, which simply isn't realistic.
So striving for that flawless, accent-free movie star English is setting ourselves up for disappointment.
Exactly. And that's where shifting our perspective becomes crucial. Instead of viewing mistakes as failures, we need to reframe them as valuable learning opportunities.
I like that.
Think of it like this. Every time you stumble, you're actually getting closer to fluency.
I love that reframing.
Yeah.
Mistakes are stepping stones.
Precisely.
Not roadblocks.
And there's research to back this up. Studies show that learning through trial and error, making those mistakes and correcting them, actually strengthens neural connections in the brain, leading to deeper understanding.
Wow, so those oops moments are rewiring our brains to learn more effectively.
Exactly.
That's like our brains are saying, okay, we messed that up, but let's learn from it and do better next time.
And I bet we all have some funny stories about mistakes we've made while learning English.
Oh, for sure.
I know I do.
I once accidentally told someone I was pregnant instead of embarrassed. Let's just say.
Oh, no.
It made for a pretty awkward conversation. But looking back, it's a funny story, and it definitely taught me the importance of double-checking my vocabulary.
Those kinds of experiences, though cringeworthy in the moment, often become the anecdotes we laugh about later. They're part of the learning journey.
And the point is, they're not the end of the world.
Right.
In fact, they're essential.
Yeah.
And I bet most people are much more understanding than we give them credit for.
Absolutely. Most people appreciate the effort to communicate in another language, even if it's not perfect. They're more focused on the message you're trying to convey than on grammatical perfection.
That's a good reminder.
Yeah.
So if mistakes are part of the process, how do we start to build confidence and overcome the fear of speaking? Is there a magic formula?
Not a magic formula, but there are some incredibly effective strategies, and we'll unpack those right after a quick break.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let's take a break.
Let's do it. All right, let's dive into those strategies for building confidence and taming that fear of speaking English.
I'm all ears. What's the first tip on our list?
The foundation, and it might sound simple, is daily practice. Even short bursts of practice, like 15 or 20 minutes a day, can make a huge difference over time.
It's like training a muscle, right? The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly.
Sure.
But it's not just about building linguistic muscles. Regular practice also has a psychological benefit. By consistently exposing yourself to the thing you fear, you gradually reduce anxiety and build confidence.
So it's like dipping your toes in the water before jumping in the pool. Start small, build up gradually, and before you know it, you're swimming.
Perfect analogy.
Yeah.
And another key strategy is to find supportive environments to practice in. Surround yourself with people who encourage you, who are patient with your mistakes, and who create a safe space for experimentation. Having a supportive community can make all the difference. It takes the pressure off and lets you focus on learning and improving without that fear of judgment. Where do you think are some good places to find those kinds of communities?
Online language exchange platforms are fantastic. You can connect with native speakers from all over the world, practice conversational skills, and learn about different cultures.
And what about the power of simply listening and repeating? I've heard that's a great way to improve pronunciation and fluency.
Absolutely. Whether it's listening to music podcasts or watching movies, pay close attention to how native speakers pronounce words and structure sentences. Try to mimic their intonation and rhythm.
It's like training your ear to pick up on the nuances of the language in your mouth to produce those sounds naturally.
Precisely. And this kind of passive learning can be incredibly effective. It helps you internalize the natural flow of English speech, build vocabulary, and improve your pronunciation without even realizing it.
It's like absorbing the language through osmosis. But what about accents? I know a lot of learners feel self-conscious about their accent and worry that it will hold them back.
That's a very common concern. But it's important to reframe how we think about accents. Your accent is part of your unique identity, your personal history, and your journey with the language. It's something to be embraced, not hidden.
I love that perspective. It's like our accent is a badge of honor, a testament to our multicultural experiences.
Exactly. And while it's natural to want to improve pronunciation, don't strive to erase your accent completely. Embrace it as part of what makes you you.
So it's more about clarity and comprehensibility than achieving a perfect accent-free English.
Exactly. And remember, countless variations of English are spoken around the world. What matters most is being able to communicate effectively and connect with others.
That makes a lot of sense. Now, I think this next tip is so important, especially for those of us who are perfectionists. Celebrate every small win.
Yes. Don't get bogged down in the pursuit of perfection. Focus on the progress you're making, no matter how small. It's about being kind to yourself on this journey.
Absolutely. Acknowledge the effort you're putting in. Celebrate those milestones and give yourself credit for every step forward. Even saying hello to someone in English can be a reason to celebrate.
It really can. Those seemingly small wins are actually huge. They build momentum, boost your confidence, and keep you motivated.
It's like those little sparks of joy that fuel our passion for learning.
Yeah.
And when you experience those moments of connection, when you successfully communicate an idea or share a laugh with someone in English, those are the real rewards. They make all the effort worthwhile.
They absolutely do. And they remind us that language learning isn't just about acquiring grammar and vocabulary. It's about opening doors to new possibilities, connecting with people on a deeper level, and expanding our horizons.
It's about gaining the superpower to communicate with people from all walks of life and experience the world in a whole new way. It's incredibly empowering.
It is. And that feeling of empowerment that you're capable of achieving something you once thought impossible is truly transformative. It builds confidence that spills over into other areas of life, inspiring you to embrace new challenges with a sense of curiosity and courage.
So it's not just about learning a language. It's about personal growth and self-discovery.
Exactly. And it's a testament to human potential. With dedication, perseverance, and a healthy dose of self-compassion, you can achieve anything you set your mind to.
Beautifully said. And as we continue this exploration of conquering the fear of English, it's important to remember that language learning is a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right. There will be ups and downs, moments of frustration, and times when you want to give up. But the key is to keep going. Be patient with yourself and remember why you started in the first place.
It's like anything worth achieving in life, right?
Mm,
It takes effort, dedication, and willingness to embrace the messy, imperfect process. And the rewards, as we've been discussing, are definitely worth it. Speaking of making it enjoyable, are there any tips for making language learning feel less like work and more like fun?
absolutely. One of the best ways to stay motivated is to incorporate things you already love into your practice. Whether it's music, movies, books, or even video games, find ways to make learning feel like a natural extension of your interests.
Turning your passions into learning opportunities. That's brilliant.
Ah,
And speaking of fun, remember those word games we touched on earlier? They're not just for kids, are they?
definitely not. They're fantastic for language learners of all ages. Word puzzles, crosswords, even something as simple as Scrabble can help you expand your vocabulary, improve your spelling, and train your brain to think in English.
It's like sneaking in a workout for your brain while having fun. And it's a great way to track your progress and challenge yourself.
Yeah.
What about real-world experiences?
Ah, those are invaluable. If you have the opportunity to travel to an English-speaking country or interact with English speakers in your community, seize those chances.
It's like taking all those textbook lessons and bringing them to life, right? You get to experience the language in its natural habitat, hear different accents, and even pick up those subtle cultural nuances that you wouldn't find in a textbook.
Exactly. And those real-world interactions, even brief ones, can be incredibly confidence boosting. They remind you that you are capable of communicating in English and that people understand you.
And those aha moments where you realize, hey, I can actually do this.
Mm.
And that feeling of accomplishment can be incredibly motivating.
Absolutely. And remember, it's often outside our comfort zones that the real magic happens. That's where we grow, learn the most, and discover just how much we're capable of.
It's like that saying, life begins in the end of your comfort zone. And language learning is no different. It's about embracing the challenges, the mistakes, the awkward moments, knowing they're all part of the journey.
And it's about celebrating the victories, both big and small. Every time you navigate a conversation, understand a movie without subtitles, or express yourself clearly in writing, give yourself credit. You've earned it.
Those victories definitely add up and create momentum to keep moving forward. And as your confidence grows, so does your fluency. It's a beautiful cycle.
It really is. And as you continue on this journey of learning English, remember that you're not alone. There's a whole community of learners out there facing similar challenges, celebrating victories, and supporting each other along the way.
It's like a global network of language enthusiasts connected by this shared passion for learning and this desire to break down barriers and connect with the world.
Mm.
And knowing that you're part of something bigger can be incredibly empowering.
It is. It's a reminder that language learning is not just an individual pursuit. It's a collective endeavor, and together we can overcome our fears, achieve our goals, and unlock the incredible potential that comes with speaking English. So to everyone out there on this journey with us, keep going. Keep practicing, exploring, connecting, and never give up on your dream of speaking English with confidence and fluency.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
And remember, the most important thing is to enjoy the process. Embrace the challenges, celebrate the victories, and be kind to yourself along the way.
So we've covered a lot of ground today, from the history of English to practical tips for overcoming the fear of speaking.
But as we shift our focus to writing, I think it's worth acknowledging that the fear of putting our thoughts on paper
Yeah.
can be just as intense as the fear of speaking.
Absolutely. Writing in another language, especially one as nuanced as English, can feel incredibly vulnerable.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there,
Oh, yeah.
exposing your thoughts and ideas to potential scrutiny.
It's true. And just like with speaking, I think a lot of that fear stems from the pressure to be perfect.
Mm.
We worry about making grammatical errors, using the wrong vocabulary, or not sounding sophisticated enough.
And it's easy to get caught up in those anxieties, especially in today's world where everything feels so polished and edited.
Mm.
But the beauty of writing is that it allows for reflection and revision.
Okay.
You have the time and space to craft your message carefully and ensure it truly reflects what you want to say.
That's a great point. It's not like speaking where you have to think on your feet and there's no going back
Yeah.
once the words are out there.
Exactly. And while grammar and vocabulary are certainly important, I think the heart of good writing lies in the ability to express yourself clearly and authentically. It's about finding your voice and sharing your unique perspective with the world.
I love that. So, if we want to start building confidence in our writing, where do we begin? Should we be focusing on grammar drills and memorizing vocabulary lists?
While those things can be helpful, I think the most effective approach is to simply start writing. Don't worry about perfection at first. Just get your thoughts down on paper.
So, embrace that messy first draft.
Exactly.
Let the ideas flow without overthinking it.
And then once you have something down,
Okay.
you can go back and refine it. Focus on clarity, conciseness, and making sure your message comes across effectively.
So, like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of stone. You start with a rough shape and then gradually refine it until it becomes a work of art.
That's a great analogy. And remember, just like with speaking, practice is key. The more you write, the more comfortable and confident you'll become.
Are there any specific types of writing that you recommend for building confidence?
Journaling is a fantastic starting point. It's a low-pressure way to practice expressing yourself in English and explore different writing styles.
Yeah.
You can write about anything that interests you, your day, your thoughts, your dreams, even your struggles with learning English.
It's like having a conversation with yourself on paper.
Yeah.
And since it's just for you, there's no fear of judgment.
Exactly. And if you're feeling a bit more adventurous, you could try writing short stories, poems, or even blog posts.
Okay.
Sharing your work with others can be a great way to get feedback and build confidence.
And there are so many online platforms where you can connect with other writers and share your work. It's a great way to build community and get support.
It is. And remember, celebrate every step in your writing journey, just as you would with speaking.
Mm-hmm.
Every finished paragraph, every polished sentence, every new word you learn is a victory worth acknowledging.
I love that reminder. It's so easy to focus on the end goal and forget to appreciate the small wins along the way.
And speaking of the end goal, who knows, maybe someday you'll be writing novels, screenplays, or even academic papers in English. The possibilities are truly endless.
That's inspiring. And it all starts with taking that first step, embracing the challenge, and finding joy in the process.
Well said. And as we conclude this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought. Whether you're focusing on speaking, writing, or any other aspect of English learning, remember that language is ultimately about connection. It's about building bridges between people, cultures, and ideas.
That's such a beautiful way to put it. And it reminds us that learning English is not just about acquiring a skill. It's about expanding our world and enriching our lives in countless ways.
Exactly. So to all our listeners out there, embrace the journey. Keep practicing, keep exploring, and never lose sight of the incredible power of language.
And remember, the world is waiting to hear your voice, both spoken and written. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into conquering the fear of English. We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
Until next time, happy learning.